Money is an important part of our lives, right? Well, some people need more, some less, but in general we can't function without it. However, a phenomenon that irritates us a lot is inflation. Do you agree with that? Why? So if you haven't experienced any inflation so far, everything will be clear to you when the next one happens. What is inflation in general and what is currently causing it? You'll find out in a few minutes. Started with this story as soon as possible, subscribe to our channel and press the bell so you never miss future videos. We're sure you're looking forward to getting started with this one, so let's start. Let's first define inflation, then the rest of the video will be clear to you. Inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. A quantitative estimate of the rate at which the decline in purchasing power occurs can be reflected in the increase of an average price level of a basket of selected goods and services in an economy over some time. The rise in prices, which is often expressed as a percentage, means that a unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods. While it's easy to measure the price changes of individual products over time, human needs extend beyond just one or two products. Individuals need a big and diversified set of products as well as a host of services for living a comfortable life. They include commodities like food grains, metal, fuel, utilities like electricity and transportation, and services like healthcare, entertainment, and labor. Inflation aims to measure the overall impact of price changes for a diversified set of products and services and allows for a single value representation of the increase in the price level of goods and services in an economy over some time. As a currency loses value, prices rise and it buys fewer goods and services. This loss of purchasing power impacts the general cost of living for the common public, which ultimately leads to a deceleration in economic growth. The consensus view among economists is that sustained inflation occurs when a nation's money supply growth outpaces economic growth. Causes of inflation. An increase in the supply of money is the root of inflation, though this can play out through different mechanisms in the economy. A country's money supply can be increased by the monetary authorities by printing and giving away more money to citizens, legally devaluing, reducing the value of, the legal tender currency, loaning new money into existence as a reserve account credits through the banking system by purchasing government bonds from banks on the secondary market, the most common method. In all of these cases, the money ends up losing its purchasing power. The mechanisms of how this drives inflation can be classified into three types: demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and built-in inflation. So what is causing inflation in 2022? The first sign of a slowdown in the rate of inflation was seen in April, but there are no guarantees this will continue as the world economy fluctuates. Economists had believed that the pandemic-era inflation would already begin to subside by May 2022. However, it's only gotten worse. Russia's invasion of Ukraine upended the thinking on the pandemic recovery. The pandemic recovery program of intensified public spending may have begun the first signs of high inflation. The inflation rate in February of 2021 was 1.7%, just under the Federal Reserve's 2% target. However, from the following April, inflation began to take a sharp rise to 4.2%, so far at 8.5%. What was to blame? There are many factors. Money that was saved by the middle class during the pandemic enabled them to have increased spending power when businesses were able to reopen. On top of this, supply chain problems caused by COVID-19 drove up the prices of goods further. Many states kept interest rates low, encouraging people and businesses to borrow money without having big repayments. It was expected to be a short surge of inflation followed by a gradual but persistent reduction in prices over the space of multiple years. While the world had hoped the inflation caused by the pandemic recovery would be transitory, the war in Ukraine has caused an even deeper economic crisis that threatens many more countries than just the U.S. As both Russia and Ukraine are large producers of natural resources, the price of commodities has gone through the roof. This is especially true for natural gas and oil, as Russia has been sanctioned by much of NATO, cutting a large part of the world off from such an important resource. The cost of gas in the U.S. has continued to grow, soaring to an all-time high of $4.33 in March 2022, up from a pandemic low of $1.94 in May 2020. The national average price could hit $4.50 a gallon or even higher this summer. The U.S. has taken to expanding its resource gathering to fill the gap, despite fears for the environment. With the primary driver of inflation being fuel, which makes everything more expensive, it will take the discovery of alternate fueling methods before inflation can slow. A big opportunity for renewable energy to step up. And finally, is inflation good or bad? While too much inflation is generally considered bad for an economy, while too little inflation is also considered harmful. Many economists advocate for a middle ground of low to moderate inflation. Of around 2% per year. Generally speaking, higher inflation harms savers because it erodes the purchasing power of the money they have saved. However, it can benefit borrowers because the inflation-adjusted value of their outstanding debt shrinks over time. We sincerely hope that this period of inflation will pass soon. What is your opinion on inflation? How does it affect you? Please be kind and share your opinion with us. There's a comment section below, so feel free to write your comments there. We'll be happy to read it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification to be notified when a new video is online. If you liked today's video, click like. That's it for today. Thanks very much for watching. Watch out for inflation, and we'll see you again soon.